Here you are. You are listening or viewing the Hey Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, part of the Roto Fanatic Podcast Network. I am Michael Govier, your host with the most. That is correct. Give it up for me. Woohoo! Yippee! With my co-host Christopher Deary at CDeary1999. I'm at MJ Govier, G-O-V as in Victor, I-E-R on Twitter and a Facebook page as well with 2 Z's and 2 L's. Look, I reversed it.
Utah.
Deary. 2 Z's and 2 L's. Just doesn't feel right.
That's clever. Yeah, it doesn't flow as well as 2 L's, 2 Z's.
It certainly doesn't. So how you doing, Deary? It's Sunday evening here. We're here to help the people with their FAAB bids and their upcoming lineups for this week's new version of Fantasy Baseball 2021.
Things are going well. I got my FAAB picks ready to roll, and we'll see if I get any luck this week.
Did you regret your picks last week?
No, I mean, I didn't. There's only a couple picks, and they were cheap. I didn't really go for anybody else that maybe I should have. So we'll see. And I don't have too many tonight. I mean, I only have 2 leagues that do work with FAAB. So you're kind of more of the FAAB master in terms of how many leagues you have FAAB in. But it's fun to talk about this stuff for sure. We're going to be doing this every single Sunday night.
Yeah, we'll be here every Sunday evening about 6:30, 6:45. We'll do about an hour or so talking about FAAB bids, streamers for the coming week, lineup concerns. You have right here in front of you 2 people that are willing to answer your questions and go over them related to your upcoming week. That's what we're doing here. We're here to help you. Believe it or not, it's not a joke. So take advantage of this. We'll hope that this will become a staple and a routine for your Sunday evening as you head into a brand new week of fantasy baseball. There's officially 1 full week in the bag, and we got more injuries too. So we're going to talk about FAAB bids to replace those. Kedal Marte is gone. He got hurt this week. That seems like a lifetime ago, but it did happen this week. He is no longer part of the Diamondbacks daily plan.
Bye, Felicia.
Christian Yelich left today's game with back issues. We'll still see what's going on there. That's to be determined. Any other injuries this week that bummed you out?
None that really bummed me out. I mean, there was a cancellation today of the Mets game, which kind of screwed me over. And I was in the know early. Well, I mean, I was in the know earlier that game was going to be delayed for a very long time. Then it ended up getting suspended. So kind of screwed me a little bit. But yeah, we're through the first full week, as obviously the first week of baseball was a half week, and then this week just finishing up. So those head-to-head leagues are just finishing up their first week. I have a couple head-to-head leagues, and that's kind of a mixed bag. Couple close matchups, a couple blowouts, but I'm still in the mix right now.
I got rolled in my head-to-head home league, and it's not going to change. I think I'm going to lose 8-2. But I really love my team, so it's just fucking horseshit. It's just trash. This shit happens. I got really unlucky. He had an amazing week. Shout out to Travis. Travis is a hell of a fantasy player. He deserves the victory this week. But I have so many guys that I love. I have a minimal amount of pitchers and a lot of hitters. So in a 10-day week, because we had the beginning of opening day, Thursday through Sunday, and then this full week, I just didn't have enough pitchers go. I still had I had 82 strikeouts in 57 innings. That's fantastic.
That's really good.
But he had 99 because he had 80 innings pitched. So
that'll do it.
Cape Renata would have blown him away. But that's not what this league is. So, again, that's why you got to know your league, Mike, you dumbass. Brian Rodgman checking in here. Brian K. Rodgman. Sorry, I called you Rodgman, Brian. Brian K. Rogers says that it's been pouring bleeping day in New York City. So it's been raining cats and dogs. Should have never started that Mets game. That's
they
right.
Started what? They got like 2 outs and then it was over?
Yeah, so Stroman goes out there for a bit and then it's just a wash. Literally.
Yeah.
That's a buzzkill. But yeah, I'm getting rolled up in that league, but I'm fully confident in my team, so I'm not going to panic. And this is a lesson to all of us. We should all relax and not panic. I said earlier this week when we had the show about players to buy in on, cheaper players for Dynasty and Keeper leagues only, and then players to sell in the same token in Dynasty and Keeper leagues. And I said sell Keston Hiura. And yesterday he had a fantastic game. He had a home run, like 3 RBIs, multi-hits.
He heard you.
Yeah, he heard me, didn't he, Deary? And there's injuries, too. Colton Wong's out. Travis Shaw got a contusion today. So yeah. I said, you better watch out because there's too many guys in that infield. He might lose playing time. Literally a day later, everything changes, and now there's no way Hero will be benched. And I may have panicked. I may have overreacted. And
Well,
same
that
goes
means-
for Frankie Montas.
Well, that means his value is pretty good right now going forward. This is what you want to see, is you want to see them do well so you can ship them off and get some good returns, right?
That's what I said. See, I'm going to reconsider the Hira take, but as far as Frankie Montas, he did that exact thing. He had a nice start yesterday. 6 innings pitched, only gave up 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts. Looked real nice. That's the time to sell Montas. I would still sell Montas, in my opinion. But you're right. You could still be right, and then they can show value and then raise the price on the trade opportunity for you. It's a good call, Deary.
Baseball is so up and down. I mean, these things are going to happen. A guy can't just be shit the whole the whole month or the whole season. So I mean, Keston Hiura was bound to break out a little bit. He's a talented player, so he's going to have that. But what's going to be those returns throughout a whole season or a quarter of a season? Is he going to step back up to what he has been in the past, or is he going to revolt back to what he was doing in 2020, where he just had a really bad season? So you just got to keep an eye on these things. Look at those ratios, see where he's trending, and obviously, we all watch these games, so you're going to get the most out of watching what happens with Keston here at the plate.
I just popped on my home team's page, and I have 2 more home runs on the bench today. Alex Verdugo went 2 for 5 with a home run, 3 ribbies, and Adam Eaton, who didn't play, comes into the game, hits a home run with 2 RBI. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I wish I would have had him playing instead of Michael Conforto today, but I saw that Eaton wasn't going to be playing, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe we'll squeeze that Mets game in today. Didn't really work out. You know what? I should have just played Eaton anyways, because Michael Conforto's been absolute trash here through the first week and a half.
Yeah, but just like you said, don't panic yet. Slow your roll now. Calm down. You got to take it easy. Remember, pace yourself, honey. Pace yourself. It's a long season. So, yeah, my home team, I totally believe this roster's, I mean, I love all these guys. Travis d'Arnaud, Anthony Rizzo, Ty France, Nick Solak, Jorge Polanco, Dansby Swanson, I don't love as much, but he's good. Ronald Acuna, Mike Trout, of course. Jeff McNeil's great. Nick Senzel. Haesung Kim, now with Tatis out. He hit his first home run last night of the season. He's finally getting it going. And then I had Verdugo, Matt Chapman, Mark Canha, and Adam Eaton on the bench. I mean, I love all these hitters. So, fuck. It's fucking head-to-head.
Well, it's just 1 week. You got to make sure, that everything will equal out and don't panic. I mean, Trout's had an amazing first week and a half. Took Acuna about 4 or 5 days, but he's heating up. So you got guys in that roster. Mark Canha's been leading off for the A's, and he's been able to show that he can get on base. He's got a little bit of speed. So I like that team too. It's just, it's just 1 week. That's what's going to happen in a head-to-head.
God, it drives me nuts. But we got to remember, last year there was a sense of urgency with head-to-head because there was only
6 weeks.
6 weeks of the season. Now we're back to 20 weeks at least, depending on your league. And I'm very, very much going to relax. And that's probably why I lost this week too, because I just chill. I took the opposite approach of last year. I said, well, I'm just going to chill, calm down. If things aren't going well, just let it play itself out. This team's good enough. And if I had made a couple pitching moves to maybe pick up a few streamers here and there, I could have evened out this score a little bit. And the problem is the roster is full. Deciding who to drop early is one of the biggest conundrums when you start a new season of fantasy baseball.
Sure is. Especially if you got a really solid team and really there's no options to drop. I have 2 teams that are like that. There's been guys on the wire that I want to go out and scoop up, but I don't have the luxury of dropping some guys, that maybe have started out pretty poorly, because I think in the long run, these guys are really solid players, and I don't have many bench spots in a lot of my head-to-head leagues, which makes it that you're making really, really risky moves, and there's going to be good guys that end up getting dropped, and then maybe you can pop in and scoop them up on the wire.
Dexter Fowler tore his ACL. He's out for the year. Bye-bye, Dexter. We're going to miss you. It's a real damn shame. I know that Alex is going to miss him, aren't you, Alex? Alex says, I've got Bellinger and Tatis on one of my roto teams. Still hanging out in first right now, thanks to Buxton. Damn right. Shout out to Mr. Buxton.
Buxton, folks. Damn,
it's finally here.
Fire.
Deary, it's finally upon us. The Buxton era has finally commenced.
Well, it started at the end of 2020. He looked really solid. Now it's just like he's smoking the ball left and right. Add that speed, and Byron Buxton is looking like an absolute stud. I went against him this week in one of my head-to-head leagues, and he just torched me.
Would you trade Buxton now?
No, I would hold on to him.
You wouldn't. So you're buying into it.
I think I am.
Because he's always been talented. So you believe that this is just a manifestation of that talent.
I have a hard time with trading guys when they are doing really, really well. Like I want them to continue to do well on my team. So like I'm not as quick to pull the trigger sometimes with trades that for guys that are doing really well on my team. I will tend to end up trading guys who are doing really poorly on my team that will maybe project out to be better later in the season. But, we talked about it last week. I don't like trading this early anyways. I usually like giving it a few weeks to see where I am. But yeah, Byron Buxton, man, if you have him, I'm interested to see if someone was interested in trading him, what they could get in return. But man, he's been an absolute stud here through this first week and a half.
Is there no difference for you between redraft and dynasty or keeper leagues?
No, I mean, yeah.
Because in redraft, I think I could get a lot back in return for him, and I might make that move now.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably get a lot back in dynasty too. I mean, it just all depends. I mean, dynasty keeper, it all depends how many you're keeping, how many guys are on your team, what the rest of your roster construction looks like.
But you wouldn't.
I probably wouldn't, just because of the edict that I like to have guys that are performing well stay on my team. You're quicker. You're quicker to pull the trigger on trades than I am, and you've made a lot. I wouldn't say riskier trades, but trades in terms of guys that are really, really solid players. I like to trade guys to, specifically off-season trades in dynasty and keeper. I like to trade guys that are keepable players, but I know I'm not keeping them.
Okay. Our buddy from the Perfect Picks podcast. What's up, buddy? Perfect Picks, buddy. Perfect Picks is tough to come by. I always hate those Perfect Picks contests during like March Madness. Like, hey, pick a perfect bracket, win $3 million. It's like winning the lottery. You know how difficult it would be? I don't believe anyone's ever picked a perfect bracket ever. Of all,
I don't think so. No way.
It's too many scenarios. It's insane, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is he wants to know, should I trade Machado? And I assume that's not Dixon Machado, who used to be a Tigers player. He wasn't very good. You're probably talking about Manny Machado. And, boy, does Tatis being out impact Machado's value? This is a question I think we should ask ourselves, Deary.
That's interesting.
I think it does. Because he's too good. He's too good for it not to impact Machado's value just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when you surround yourself with other studs in your lineup, it's inherently going to make you possibly see better pitches, especially if you're batting right after Tatis. Tatis is someone who can affect how many RBIs you might be getting. But like back to Machado is just like a sole player. He's off to a slow start for sure. I mean, he's batting like 240. He only has one home run right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends what your
percentage is up to. It's 20%.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're looking for right now. I'd certainly think about it. I don't think he's the type of guy that has a no trade tag to him. I think there's only a handful of those players that are out there. But yeah, it really depends what you're looking for and what you think you could get. I would certainly explore it.
I think I would definitely do it. I wasn't in on Manny Machado this year, so you're talking to the guy who's happily willing to trade Manny Machado. I did the video for Mason Dodd on his Fantasy Flock Network where we talked about first round guys to avoid, and Manny Machado is one of those guys I picked in terms of top 30 players on ADP in the preseason, along with Jose Abreu. But Manny Machado can have incredible seasons, and then other times he doesn't give us what we would exactly hope for. I always feel like we never quite got the seasons. He's had some great seasons. When he had that, the 20 steal season in 2015, when he hit 35 bombs and stole 20 bags,
I think he had 45 or 50 doubles that year too.
Yeah, that was like, shit, dude. That's what we're talking about. And, a couple of years before that, he had a 51 double season. Yes. So he had moments. He's always had moments. He got the big ass contract, $300 million. He deserves that. I think I would trade him. I think I would make the move. They're talking about Tatis is coming back, which I think is horseshit. I think it's total smokescreen garbage. But I could be wrong. But why would they bring him back, Deary? Why would you risk this? Unless there's no way it can get worse. Like you've said before, if he can't get hurt anymore, then he can give it a shot.
Yeah, but this guy, I mean, there's a reason you gave this guy $1 gazillion and you want to protect your future. But back to Machado, he's just wildly inconsistent for me. I mean, last year, sure, he had an incredible season, but would he have batted over 300 for the season? He's never done that before. Would he have hit, 40 home runs? He's never done that before. He's had over 100 RBIs only a couple times. So yeah, I'd probably pull the trigger too. I think you talked me into it, Mike, talking about just kind of the inconsistency and wondering if he's going to be that first round talent that we know he can be, but it doesn't seem to always happen. I don't see Tatis coming back. Maybe for like a stretch run for the playoffs for them, but but
they're saying he's coming back like shortly. Like, and also Zach Gallen. It came out on Twitter. I saw yesterday. Zach Gallen pitching Tuesday. I'm like, what? Is this real? What world are we living in? Have injuries just become no longer
like
a major threat
he's
anymore?
pitching for the Diamondbacks? He's not doing like a simulated game or anything like that?
Right. Yeah, that's how it was interpreted. I was awfully skeptical of that headline, I tell you.
He's got the super juice to come back, man.
Yeah. That is bullshit. I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
So at any rate, Manny Machado, I would trade. He does have a hit in every game over the last 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One hit. He's being very consistent over his last 5 games, but there's no power. He's had 2 doubles out of those hits. The walk rate is up. Again, it's a small sample size, like we said. It's up to 20%, so that's nice. But he's going to walk more, probably because Tatis isn't in there. So they're not going to be as fearful. And which classic baseball 101. So I think I would trade him. That's how I feel about Manny. By the way, JD Martinez is a legend again. He remembers how to play baseball, folks. Breaking news. He is back. JD Martinez can play baseball again. 3 home runs today, dearie. JD's back with a vengeance, and I'm looking like a fool right now because I don't have him on a single team anywhere.
Yeah, I don't have him either. The Red Sox have been murdering the ball the last few days. God damn, he's looked great. 3 home runs today. Back to what we've seen for the last 5 years. I mean, we all talked about the struggles last year, and, he talked about what was to blame with those struggles, not being able to review video and all that. Plus, you got to remember, like, last year was just such a wacky season. Like, how was everybody feeling mentally? Like, maybe he was just totally checked out. I'm sure there's a ton of players that played last year that had a lot bigger worries than what was going on the field. And he's back to what he's been doing the last few years. So if you have JD Martinez, he probably really, really helped you out this past week, specifically today with those 3 huge bombs.
Wouldn't you rather? I've thought about this with JD's incredible performance today. 3 taters. I'd rather have guys that start slow. I don't like the guys that come out hot, unless they're going to be hot all year, which would be incredible. If you could be hot all season, that's just not reality, like you said.
That's interesting.
I'd rather have the guys that pick it up later on and finish strong, especially in head-to-head.
I mean, it's baseball. It's peaks and valleys. They're all going to go through it. I mean, but I can't be pissed at it. Oh man, you started off too hot, man. Too hot, too soon. Got to calm down.
Yeah, I mean, what is the reality? I bet you that JD Martinez hits less than 35 home runs this year. I'll book it.
It is on the Shine or Ride the Pine, which is done. I just haven't formatted it perfectly to make it viewable really good. I got to move some things around, but it is done.
Wow, that's great news, finally.
Yes, correct.
I never thought we would see it, but I'm really looking forward to that, dearie. That's excellent.
So you don't want guys to start off hot?
If I had my druthers,
doesn't make sense.
If I had my druthers, and I don't know what druthers are still. I don't know. Do you know what druthers is?
No.
Yeah, me neither. If I had my druthers, though, my druthers would be, hey, let's start out slow and pick it up. I love guys who pick it up in June or July, and then they just have a tear the second half of the year.
There's no reason that someone can't do that most of the year.
Yeah, I'd rather be down now in my leagues than later.
If someone's going to have a slump, you want it to happen now instead of July. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're going to happen. We all know that.
Correct.
It's funny because JD Martinez was put on the COVID list yesterday, and now he comes back today and hits 3 home runs. That's fucking incredible. Well done, JD.
That's scary.
Nothing's going to stop that guy. My guy, DJ Stewart, is back for the Baltimore Orioles, a guy I love. He's always undervalued. He's really cheap in DFS because he hits for power and he can steal some bags, but that's pretty much it. He strikes out a lot. I would be putting in FAAB bids on him. Nothing serious, but if you played in OBP leagues, I would definitely put in a bid on Mr. DJ Stewart. Yeah, $5-10. Nothing serious. I don't think he'll be highly sought after, but I think he's somebody where you can pay a low price and get yourself a nice little player. DJ Stewart of the Baltimore Orioles. Go get you some.
Yeah, he batted fifth today. I mean, where's he going to slot in? Like, do they have room? With him being able to get enough at bats.
Ivy thought, Santander, and with Austin Hayes being out, I thought there was an opportunity. I know Cedric Mullins will play every day. Santander's there. Mountcastle could DH. So for now, I think, the playing time's daily.
Yeah, he should have the spot in left field, currently. Especially with Hayes being out a while. So, and if they continue to bat him fifth, I mean, it's a lineup that's proven that they can score runs. I mean, Cedric Mullins has been absolutely fantastic, and it's not going to be long before Santander and Mountcastle really get going. So there's a lot of RBI opportunities out there for Stewart if the rest of that lineup can get moving.
So who are going to be some of the biggest FAAB targets this week, Deary? Let's get into it. I love DJ Stewart. That's a small-time target, though. He's not going to be like, I got it. Everybody, we got to have DJ Stewart. It's not going to be like that. We definitely know one name. At least the other day, people were shitting their pants about it. That's Corey Knebel of the Dodgers. Uh-huh. People were saying, Corey Knebel could be the new closer. He's the new closer. I don't know if that's true.
I have a bid in for Corey Knebel. It's speculative that he maybe takes over for closer, but we had talked about this preseason that Kenley's gonna get the opportunities. They want Kenley to be the closer, and obviously Knebel came in the other night after Jansen blew it the night before, and Knebel shut down the team they were going against. So this is going to happen with a lot of different bullpens, and I'll be interested to see how big of money is out there for Knebel. I'm not going to share what I have out there for a FAAB bid, but it's not too big.
You can't. Yeah, not yet. You're right. That would be unwise. I will tell you this. Knebel's fun, but there's other options. I think I'd rather have Blake Trinan just as well, because he still is just as capable of having that job. And Kenley Jansen was warming up. Was it today or yesterday where he was coming in? He would have come in for a save situation yesterday, I believe. So it's not like, there it is. Yeah, Mike Curlin, live update. Jansen just got the save, throwing 95 miles an hour. Thank you. Right on cue, Mike Curlin. Shout out to Sleepy K.
Yeah, it's not like someone's going to save 3-4 days in a row. They want to preserve these guys over 162 game season. So even your stud closers, you're not going to see in there 3-4 days, consecutively. Especially with the Dodgers, when they have those other options like a Trinan and a Knebel.
I mentioned Corey Knebel on a podcast of ours somewhat recently. I was like, that's a guy. It's a speculative ad who could be the heir apparent if things go bogus for Jansen, because he's an all-star closer. He got injured again, but he's healthy. Man, when the Tigers traded him, we didn't think very highly of Corey Knebel. I remember that. It was like, who cares? It's Corey Knebel. He's out of Texas. So-so guy. But then he had that blowout year with the Brewers as an all-star, and he raised his profile. But ever since then, he's been injured. So now here we are.
Yep.
So I would say, maybe $20, $22. If we're talking $1,000 budget, which is one usual standard FAAB budget on NFBC,
that sounds about right. That's a good call.
But I bet somebody tomorrow, we're going to see this on our next show, which, by the way, we've organized our schedule. So it'll be Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for y'all. Nice routine, 3 times a week. Get you help before the week starts, and then pick things up on Wednesday and close it out with Friday. Lock that into your brains, little fellas and gals and everybody in between. Yay! Woohoo! All right, seriously, cut the crap. So I think that we should consider that blowing $120 on Corey Knebel will happen. Someone's going to do it tomorrow. Tonight, it's going to happen. After 10 o'clock p.m., when the NFBC FAAB bids roll through, we're going to see more bullshit. We're going to see ridiculous triple-digit prices. Probably somebody more than that. I mean, who else are targets that will probably be paid outrageous prices for?
Well, if guys haven't been scooped up in these leagues with the last week's FAAB, or if you're in like a cut line where maybe your first, FAAB bids will be coming up this week, a guy like Emmanuel Clace, who saved 2 of the last 3 games for the Indians, has looked really, really good throwing gas. Sure, it's against the Tigers, but this guy, I got to give the guys over at Rotosaurus a ton of credit, because they talked about this a couple months ago, that he is the guy in waiting. I have not been a Karinchak fan, leading up into the season. We saw, early on, Karinchak was going in those kind of top 5 or 6 closers. And then it kind of came back to earth as we got closer to the season, and he started being drafted a lot lower than that. But Clace looks like the guy right now. Karinchak came in today as well, but he came in the 7th inning. So Clace, I think, is going to be the most consistent guy. He's the most talented, and if he's out there in people are trying to scoop him up in FAAB, I think it's going over $100.
I said all offseason, Karinchak is overrated. He's overhyped. He's overpriced. And then I get up one time, and the one time I do is in the main event where I spend the most money to be in a league. And
yeah, neither of us liked him. We didn't like the ratios in terms of walks. Sure, last year he struck out a ton of guys, but it was his first year up in the league, and if you already have walk problems that you've had in the minors and that you had last year, I mean his walk per 9 was over 4 last year. Like, that's scary. That's not something that you're just going to fix right away. So I'm sure they're going to try to figure it out with him. And if he becomes someone who can be really, really talented and possibly close for them, it gives the Indians some good options back there. And maybe you see kind of a combo. But right now, I think Clace has become that guy.
Clace is the man in Cleveland. Cleveland! Also, Yimi Garcia. That's another target people will be looking. You were thinking Yimi?
Yimi was going to be the next name I was going to mention. So, yeah, really? Yimi, Anthony Bass had a couple bad outings earlier in the week, and Yimi had already kind of been in that setup role and had appeared a couple times and looked pretty good. And then 2 out of the last 3 times out, what happens? Yimi comes out there and gets a save. So I think Yimi is a guy who has had this role before with several other teams. So he is going to be someone that there's going to be some FAAB bids out on. I think he probably is turned into the closer. They've gone back to him the last 2 days. So I think Yimi Garcia is the guy in Florida now, in Miami.
Shout out to Baseball Pod's Chris Marr. He was touting Yimi Garcia all offseason as the guy who will close. It was not, hey, I'm taking Bass with Yimi as my backup. No, he was straight on Yimi Garcia for the Florida Marlins. I keep calling. They're always going to be the Florida Marlins to me. It's really hard for me to say Miami Marlins.
I know. I always say Florida.
Because it was a big deal when they became a major league team. There was no team in Florida. It's like, they're the Florida Marlins. We finally got a baseball team in Florida. Even though we have spring training, which is plenty of baseball for all of Florida. But yeah. Anyways, the Miami Marlins closer job, Yimi Garcia is the guy. I'm a moron. I had him in my home league, but I dropped him because Anthony Bass had shit the bed in like game 2 against the Rays, and then Yimi Garcia had looked good. I'm like, all right, this is it. This is where he's going to shine. This is in my head-to-head 14-team league, and we have small benches in that league, though. So I ended up cutting Yimi, and now someone else has him when he gets a save the other day. So learn your lessons, guys. Stay true to the players you like. Do not get caught up in the, whoa, man, this guy's not doing the job right now. I can't wait around for him. If you're going to be patient anytime, this is the time to be patient. And I keep trying to reinforce that in my head, dearie. Be patient.
It's so tough with relief pitching, but I tell you, if you have a guy who you thought maybe was going to get closer shares early on, and right now is kind of in that setup role, but is performing really, really well, and you have the capability to keep him on your team, go ahead and do that, because there could be that opportunity coming. And if they're already performing really, really well, no need to just freak out and be scared and drop them right away, especially if it's a situation that's very fluid, like many of these bullpens are. Someone has to take over that role, or maybe it goes back and forth. But if your guy is performing, hold on to him, be patient.
Yeah, Dave Funnel says, Jansen's save drops Knable price. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
If you needed a closer, would you still target Knable tonight in FAAB bids?
If you need a closer, and if
you needed one, if you had a spot where, hey, this guy's doing nothing, I need a closer anyway, so I'm going to pick up Knable, even though Jansen got the save Sunday today.
Yeah, for the right price, I would say. I mean, but you brought up the great point with Treinen also being a guy who's been in that role before, so it's maybe like a couple things need to happen for Knable to really turn into that guy, for the rest of the season or for the rest of the month. I mean, for the right price, I would probably, put in a bid for Knable.
I think we're living in a world now where closer committees will become more and more and more common. We already know that. And even in a outstanding situation like the LA Dodgers, Kenley Jansen's been there. He's a vet, longtime pro. You think he's climbing up near or maybe over 300 saves by now? He's got to be close.
I think he's over 300 now. Yeah.
He's just a guy who I watch him throw. He's 33 and a half years old. He's not getting any younger. The last year the velocity was down, but apparently the velocity is up to 95 now, which is if what Curlin just dropped in the comments is accurate, that's a big bump from last year because he was more toward 90-91 with his fastball.
I would keep an eye onto that. We'll see if he can continue to throw mid-90s come June or July.
But look at this stretch, Deary. From 2014 on, 44 saves, 36 saves, 47 saves, 41 saves, 38 saves, 33 saves. That's through 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hell of a run. And he had 11 saves last year in the the Bozo season. Short sample.
I think we just tend to kind of be so recency bias where he has a hard time during the playoffs and things start to fall apart a little bit and be like, oh, well, maybe next year it's going to be the year that it falls apart for Kenley. But and it's so easy to do that because closers seem to just go on these great runs and then fall apart. They fall asleep right at the the peak, and then it's over, and then they get demoted immediately. I don't think that's quite happening yet with Jansen, but I still think I made this prediction before. I said I would be shocked if he made it the whole season as their closer.
Wow. There it is in the can. So Corey Knebel, if you pay triple digits for Corey Knebel, I think you're making a fool of yourself. Unless you play in a league that has like $10,000 FAAB budget. No, don't do it. Please don't do it.
Yeah, you talked about $22, and I think $15 to $22. I mean, that's not breaking the bank on you.
This is a really good time to go back now because we have data. So mark this down, write it down, pause the podcast. Well, this is a live stream. So the live stream is much more prescient than the podcast because it'll probably come out after the FAAB bids have run.
Yeah, no one will listen to this after that.
Yeah, this is actually something to take note of. You want to be in the live stream part of this because it's much more valuable in terms of real-time data. But take a look at what the other players in your league have been doing. See if there's any bidding trends. We have a couple weeks now of FAAB bids under our belts, and we can start to identify some trends. I really believe that's possible. You're not going to nail it, and I'll probably lose some bids. You'll lose some bids. We're all going to fail. But I still think we can gain more and more of an edge if we stay in touch, stay attuned. All be as one.
Are there any other relievers out there you thinking maybe getting a bid this week?
Jansen threw 8 pitches, by the way, and all but one was over 93 miles per hour, according to Mike Curlin. Check out, by the way, Mike Curlin's got a new pitch mix chart out there. Mike's doing a ton of work. Mike's got too many projects, but his latest project is the pitch mix chart. So you can go to Mike's Twitter feed and follow him at Mike Curlin. Click on the pitch mix chart, and you can type in a pitcher's name, and it'll show you all the pitch mix data from last year and this year and compare. And it's fantastic. I think you should really take the time to do that if you want to win your league. Deary says, what other closers or relievers should be targeted? Well, we covered Yimi. We covered Clace. We covered Knebel. What about the Oakland situation? Because you got Diekman, you got Romo, you got JB Wendelken. I am not sure what to make of that. I think it's a real shit show, to be honest with you, but that doesn't mean there's not value with one of those guys. In fact, you could probably put in a real cheap bid on a Sergio Romo, who always just sneaks his way into a situation and gets saves. That's just what he does. He never dies. Never say die, Sergio Romo.
A lot of people are going after Lou Trevino in my in a lot of my head-to-head daily streaming leagues. Lou Trevino's been picked up in almost all of them over the last 2 days.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Lou. Lou, you don't know where I've been, Lou. Oh, I should get that drop from Fight Club. That's a great one. You don't know where I've been, Lou. Sergio Romo came in yesterday against the Astros, 2/3 of an inning, 2 earned runs. No bueno. That's not good. Jake Diekman, 1 1/3, 2 hits, no strikeouts. And then JB Wendelken, 1 clean inning with 2 Ks. Very nice. I think Wendelken's the guy to target for cheap. And if you want to go even cheaper, try Romo. That would be my instant analysis FAAB bidding process this week. Wendelken 1, Romo cheaper 2.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea who ends up winning that job. I think they're just going to play situational for now until someone steps up. But I mean, Wendelken's the youngest of the group, and he's probably the most talented. I mean, Romo has the longest track record, but Romo's also 38 years old. He doesn't even throw a fastball anymore. It's just a slider every single time. Diekman's 38. Been around a while. Trevino might be a guy to kind of look at. All these guys, I think, specifically a Trevino, a Diekman, and a Wendelken, I think for a FAAB bid, you can get pretty cheap.
There's also the Arizona situation, which I picked up Chris Davinsky last week, and I was really excited about it. But then I don't even know what it is. It's not COVID. It's just these personal reasons. He's just gone. Like, he's just NA. He's unavailable right now in Yahoo leagues. He threw about 5 miles per hour less on Tuesday night in Colorado, blew the save, and then he goes bye-bye. Chris Davinsky, I hope you're well. I was actually rooting for you. But this is the fucking closer roulette we're playing, see?
Yeah, I mean, a guy that, comes in, looks pretty good, and then he's like, then he's just gone.
Yes.
It's like, I mean, you're just taking stabs at guys, especially like a team like Arizona. But, I mean, right now it looks like Crichton might be the guy.
Yeah, Stefan Crichton could be the guy, although I still like Kevin Ginkel a lot. I'm a big Kevin Ginkel fan. So, in my opinion, I have Kevin Ginkel on a couple 15-teamers. In 12-teamers, I would take a look at Ginkel because he's going to be the heir apparent. I think if Davinsky's got personal problems and he never comes back, you could say, bye-bye, see ya. No value there.
It's really tough, these bullpens where they got like 3 or 4 guys where none of them are dominant, and you're just like hoping that one of these darts hits and they end up, really putting together a solid season and lock down that back end of the bullpen and give you 15 to 20 saves. But Arizona's a similar situation to, Oakland, where you just got a bunch of guys that you're really not that excited about. And you hope if you put a bid in for someone, it ends up being the right guy.
Can I share another? Oh, wait, no, that's not it. Not him. Yes, our pal Davey Lou says, what about Jose Alvarado? Archie Bradley officially on the IL now. Dun, dun, dun. This is great news for Philadelphia because it clears up one more arm that we don't have to worry about.
Yep.
In probably and this is saying something. This really is saying something. The most complex closer situation coming into 2021 to figure out, bar none. Jose Alvarado, Brandon Kinsler, Archie Bradley,
Hector Neris.
It's like this is a real, and then there's Coonrod, Sam Coonrod, who's been throwing gas as well. So you could take a flyer on him. I actually think Alvarado is the best of the bunch. I know the Rays traded him, and that usually means people panic. Oh, the Rays traded him; he must suck. But that's not always the case. Nate Lowe's been pretty good in Texas, so.
With Bradley out, Neris had that job from the beginning. Neris has done it in the past, but Neris has also been very shaky in the past. Jose Alvarado has the best stuff. I mean, he's shown some absolute electric stuff when he was in Tampa. But we all know the problem that Alvarado's had is finding the strike zone. His just walk rate has been just atrocious, and it's probably one of the reasons Tampa got rid of him. But he got the save, on Monday of last week. I think he really, really has the best stuff and could be the sneaky guy that sneaks up and takes it from Neris. But I think it's Neris's right now. But Philadelphia, it's probably one of the most important bullpens for a team that wants to compete because they've been able to hit the ball really well this year. And if they want to compete in that division, they have to lock down their bullpen. It's been a mess the last couple of years. I think it's a reason they signed Bradley. It's a reason they brought in Alvarado, but I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see who ends up taking that job. I still think it's Neris's. Can you get Alvarado on the cheap? Probably. You probably could, and maybe he helps their ratios if he continues to be pretty solid out of the pen for them. And we've seen injuries happen quickly. We saw what happened in Tampa. Pete Fairbanks is now out, so that's one less arm to worry about in Tampa. With Bradley out in Philly, that's one less arm to worry about there.
So is Chris Martin of the Braves. He was the darling of a lot of people preseason. Chris Martin's going to be the guy. He's on the IL, so forget about him.
I couldn't go after any of the Braves bullpen because I had no idea what was going to happen with the bullpen. So, I saw people, going for Martin in like the top 150, top 180. And I'm like, that's really, really risky because if he doesn't become the closer, what do you do with him?
Any other cheap closer flyers you can take here? I don't really know if there are. We've covered most of these areas where there's chaos. The Blue Jays, I think the Merriweather seems to really be the guy. So people who paid the money last week, I think that looks pretty decent. I still wouldn't have paid, 40, 45, 35% of my FAAB budget. I wouldn't have done that for Merriweather, but that's
I still think that one's a fluid situation.
Okay. Yeah. And as far as the Rays, Diego Castillo blew a save this week, but with Peter Fairbanks being gone, he's more of the guy. Also, congratulations and a really, really wonderfully well-deserved applause Brett Honeywell made his major league debut today after all the pain, all the injuries, all the suffering.
He had not pitched in a game in 1,300 days.
Yeah.
Came out there and went two innings today. Looked pretty decent.
Rock solid. That screwball changeup thing was in the mix. He is so much fun. But if you were going to pick up Honeywell in redraft leagues thinking, oh, I'm going to pick him up, he's going to... No. I knew it. I almost tweeted something last night like, yeah, enjoy the 2 or 3 innings. But I didn't want to shit on his parade. I didn't want to ruin the party. I'm really happy for him.
No, dynasty, deep dynasty leagues, you're focusing in on him, but you're not going to get much of him from him in a redraft this year. I think next year is the year where they really ramp him up this year, and then next year possibly he gets into the rotation.
That is so fetch.
I agree, Gretchen. I do. You're listening to the Hey, it's Rico Palazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, part of the Roll of Fanatic Podcast Network. Me and Deary, Michael Govia, your host, along with Christopher Deary. We're live. We're on Twitter at Palazzo Podcast. 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah, give me 2.
I'm at MJ Govier, G-O-V as in Victor IER, and he's C. Deary. That's Deary as in Dear John, 1999. Not deer with, in the headlights with antlers. Those are... You ever hit a deer, Deary? You ever hit a deer with a car?
No, my wife hit a deer. She hit 2 deer within a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, remember that old blue Escort she had, or
oh yeah,
was that an Escort? Yeah. So she hit a deer on 14. It destroyed her car. She got a new car the next week, the Ford Escape that she still has. The day she got that car, she hit another deer, but it was a much smaller deer, and she just kind of sideswiped it. Didn't do any damage to her car.
Oh, fucking deer in Michigan. Always an issue. In fact, the only time I ever hit a deer was in Maryland. So deer are an issue everywhere. It's not just Michigan.
I guess so.
All right, let's talk some hitters then. Hitters that we like, hitters to pick up. Also injury replacements for other guys that have gone bye-bye. Anybody out there you're liking this week who could be available? Is it 15-team dependent, 12-team dependent? The floor is open to you, Deary. I think it depends a lot on who's, not who's, but what type of league you're in and how your drop system goes. If Haesung Kim could be available because Tatis, technically, that was this week. God, it seems like forever ago, but Tatis got hurt this week. We were doing the show was that Monday night?
In a weekly pickup league, he could be available, yes.
Haesung Kim could be available. I would put a large bid on Haesung Kim. I would. I believe in him, his talent. I've talked about it on this podcast before. He finally hit his first home run of the season on Saturday night, showing that potential. He could steal bags. He's got caught stealing a few times. It's not gone his way quite yet. In fact, he got caught stealing twice, I think, on the season, but he could steal bags. He can hit for power. He could score runs in a great lineup. I don't think Fernando Tatis is coming back. I would consider a triple-digit bid on Haesung Kim.
Okay, I like that.
You wouldn't?
No, I like that.
Okay, you like it? Yeah,
triple digits. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get the playing time going forward. And if you truly believe that we're not going to get Tatis for a couple months, you can ride that Kim train for a while. And if he steps in the lineup like he is right now and really performs, it's going to be hard to keep them out of the lineup, especially if you got a guy like Jake Cronenworth. If he starts to struggle, there's some options in the outfield. You can maneuver people around. I think he could be here to stay if he performs well. $100 FAAB bid, Mike says. I'll go with it. I mean, Mike's been all about Kim for a while, and obviously it's league dependent. How much FAAB money do you have? How much do you have left? Did you already spend a ton last week? Obviously you don't want to get 3 bids that are going to take away like 30% of your money now. Or if you're in a cut line where you only got 2 FAAB periods, this could be a guy that I think could give you value for the rest of the year. It might not be a situation where you're just getting a guy for a couple weeks to take over for somebody who is injured. I think Kim could be here for a while.
He is. He came over here as a huge free agent. He's going to be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year, no doubt. He's going to be right there for the NL Rookie of the Year in 2021. Even if Tatis comes back and is somewhat who he normally is, I don't really fear that situation. I think Kim's talent will win the day. I say it now. I'm going to stick to it. One thing I'm learning is stick to my opinions, even if it seems like they're more unlikely in the moment, because things change every day in this damn game. They really do. We got to talk Tyler Naquin. Tyler Naquin is having a Hall of Fame season.
He's having a Hall of Fame week.
He is. This is a Cleveland castoff who could never get it going in an outfield that begged for offense. The Cleveland outfield has been begging for offense for years. That's why they signed Eddie Rosario in the offseason. And all of a sudden, being on the Cincinnati Reds, Tyler Naquin is a god. Would you bid for him? Do you think it's worth it? Do you say ride the hot streak, or do you say, nah, that's going to fade pretty quick?
When does Jesse Winker come back?
Oh, that's a good question. I thought he just came back, but he got hurt again, right?
Yeah, because if Jesse Winker
sucks.
is there, I don't know how Tyler Naquin gets the playing time. You got Castellanos in right, Nick Senzel's been in center, and then Winker was their starting left fielder at the start of the season. Naquin's been able to come in these last 8 games, and he's 5 home runs. I mean, just unbelievable week. He just put together one of those weeks in a head-to-head where you end up winning the week because of this guy. I wouldn't react to I wouldn't go too nuts about putting in a huge waiver for Naquin. Sure, go ahead, put in a small waiver claim in for him, put in a small bid for him because he is hot. Maybe the Reds try to keep him in that lineup and slowly bring a Jesse Winker back. But I think if Winker's there, I'm not sure Naquin is going to get full-time opportunities there.
But Winker's got this calf issue, which has been a problem for him. He's only played it a couple games so far this year. Mm-hmm. And the more Naquin plays and rakes, and with Akiyama being out still on the IL, I think the opportunity is there. I really do.
Over the next couple weeks, yes.
Yes.
Over the next couple months, I don't see Naquin being able to do this.
Because you've never seen it before.
Exactly, because we've never seen it before. We've never seen power like this before. We've never seen him have the propensity to walk and not strike out. He's never done this before, but anyone can do it over 32 plate appearances.
He was a well thought of player. He was a first round pick for Cleveland back in 2012. Do you know that?
His best season with them was his rookie year, and then he ran into some injuries, and then just kind of fell out of love with they fell out of love with him. You know, the Cleveland Indians, and then finally moved on from him. But he had a solid rookie season in 365 plate appearances. He had 14 home runs, 52 runs, 43 RBIs, swiped a few bags, struck out a ton, which he's kind of been able to bring down in the last few years. But it's been a power outage in the last couple of years, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Yeah, he'll be striking out more in the walk percentage and the K percentage will go in opposite directions of what they are right now. It's just not realistic, but it is stats right now. And if you play in leagues where you can pick up a guy and ride the hot hand, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're putting in a triple digit bid on Tyler Naquin though, I think you're sadly mistaken. There's a big difference between a guy like Julian Merriweather, who people paid a shitload of money for last week. It could be the closer all season long versus a guy like Tyler Naquin who could be a flash in the pan, just like Your Mind Mercedes. We all love the Your Mind Mercedes story for the Chicago White Sox. What a lovely, lovely story. The guy hits the ball really hard, but he's a utility only, and it just can't last. It never does. You guys know this better than we do if you played fantasy baseball just as long as we have.
It could. You never know.
This could
never know.
Be the breakout. Tyler Naquin's breakout. Your Mind Mercedes breakout year. I bet you one of these guys doesn't last the year. That's just my thought. Alex says both Didi and Jorge Polanco are available in my 10-team roto. Both obviously work as a full-time Tatis replacement, though I already have Chris Taylor. Would you throw down considerable FAAB for either? Well, let me go first here real quick. Jorge Polanco all day. He's hitting at the top of a really good lineup. Plus, he's a good hitter, and he already stole a bag, too, which is nice. If he can give you some more steals, that's a real bonus of a return. Even in a 10-team league, as a Tatis replacement, I would absolutely put on a healthy size bid for Jorge Polanco. Which one do you like, Deary, Polanco or Didi?
I would take Polanco over Didi. Didi's off to a really, really slow start right now, but I think that will come back to earth, back to what he's been doing over the last 7-8 seasons. But I think Polanco, I like Polanco a lot more, and I think both those guys are better options than Chris Taylor. So I would put in some bids. Polanco would be the guy that I would put a bid on more than Didi, though.
Alex also says he spent $130 of his budget last week on Hector Neris and Yusei Kikuchi. So he's being a little more cautious. People tightening the belts after some big FAAB blowouts. But I think the Neris pick, that looks even better now. With Archie Bradley going on the IL, you're sitting pretty, Alex. So you're making the right calls, and you should be proud of yourself as a manager.
Yeah, you picked up a closer. That's great. And Kikuchi's going to be able to give you some good enough starts. So not bad. You spent 130 on those two guys that I think are going to be able to give you value for the rest of the season. I mean, because we're just talking about who can give you value for the rest of the season, which Aditi could do that. A Jorge Polanco could do that. Going back to the guy we just talked about, Tyler Naquin, is that a full-time rest of the season going to help you out? Probably not. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, depending on what happens with the injuries in the outfield for the Reds. But I like both those guys that you brought up with Polanco and Didi.
Tim LeCastro is a guy I'd be targeting as well. With Ketel Marte on the IL, as we mentioned earlier in the show, he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. Tim LeCastro went 4 for 4 yesterday, had 4 hits. He's hitting leadoff. He can steal bags. Somebody put a great tweet. I think it was the Triple Play Pod, I believe, on Twitter. I hope I'm getting that right. They said, Tim LeCastro is everything we wanted Billy Hamilton to be when he was a youngster. And I think that's a very interesting comparison. It's a solid comp. Because if Tim LeCastro has more pop, which he's shown, and he can steal bags like crazy, this is a guy you want on your squad. And I think throughout the year, even when Ketel Marte comes back, if LeCastro could force his way into this situation even further, I really think that. But I also want to throw in real quick, Deary, that Cole Calhoun is back, and that's another guy that you could be throwing a FAAB bin on as well. So between Calhoun and LeCastro, do you like one over the other? What's your take?
So Calhoun has the track record. He's shown power over the years, but he's also been injured so much over the last years. Tim LeCastro just never has had the opportunity. He's been in Arizona for 3 years, and he's just been kind of a bit player that comes in off the bench. But the one thing that you generally don't find in many FAAB situations is a guy that can steal bases. And if Marte ends up being out a significant amount of time, or even when Marte comes back, maybe LeCastro has an opportunity to fill in at other positions. I don't think there's a ton of talent out there in Arizona. This is a guy that could steal bases. You don't find that very much in FAAB. So I like LeCastro.
By the way, I mentioned Zach Gallen could return Tuesday. That is totally serious. That's not a joke. Arizona Diamondbacks starting pitcher Zach Gallen could return to the team and start on Tuesday against the Oakland Athletics. Torey Lovello has announced that Madison Bumgarner would be the starter on Monday and added that it's a possibility that Gallen could start on Tuesday.
Amazing. That's what, like 3 weeks ahead of time? We were thinking May, right?
Yes, it's like a month. I think people were thinking mid-May. This is incredible. Some of these early Cole Calhoun coming back. That was also another guy that people said, oh, he tore his meniscus. He'll probably be out till May. Nope, he's back. People are getting healthier or more excited to play baseball. I don't know what it is. Something's going on in the air of Major League Baseball.
I would be very nervous about adding Cole Calhoun before he even plays a game.
Wouldn't it be need dependent when it comes to LeCastro and Calhoun? If you need steals, you're probably going to go with LeCastro. But you can also double down. Remember this. This is a key aspect that I have learned a lot of lessons from. Maximize your bids. Put in many, many, many bids. There's nothing wrong. You can put endless amounts of bids in. There's no limitation on bids because you want to have backups for the bids that don't go through. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be left with nothing. That's happened to me too many times, dearie.
If you are in a situation where your roster, there's 5-6 guys that you could drop in your roster, go right ahead and do that and put in as many bids as you can because you're not going to hit on all those bids. Make sure that they're the amount of money that you're putting out you are comfortable with possibly losing, but you're not going to win every bid. And you got to think about it this way. There's going to be other owners that say, oh, these are the 3 or 4 guys I want to target. These are the bids I'm going to go in on. They end up not getting any of those guys, and then they're just completely shit out of luck, and they didn't put any other bids in as replacements. So you got to think about it that way. There's going to be guys out there that there's not bids in at all, and they could be guys that should be picked up. It's not like every single owner in your league is going to do exactly what you do. If you go out and you put 10, 11 different bids in there, you're not going to hit on every one of those guys, but you could hit on 4 or 5 of them.
Good call. What about Akil Badu, our local guy in Detroit? Akil Badu inspires us all. I love Akil Badu. By the way, yeah, I listened back to the podcast. You just heard that announcers in your own headphones.
I think I still had a game on my computer, and somehow that was coming through. But it was so weird because I was not hearing those announcers at any other part of the podcast that we were doing. And then I was like, Mike, you want some advice? You got to turn down the announcers. I thought that you had actually put in, because it wasn't very clear. I thought that you had put in like Dan Dickerson and Jim Price on the radio call for the Tigers, talking about, getting all excited when Badu hit a walk-off or he hit a triple.
Yes. We're talking about my Akil Badu song, which is a parody of the Police's do-do-do-da-da-da. That's all I want to say to you. Akil Badu is somebody who looks like a breakout, but there's still playing time issues. I don't want Badu in redraft. I think it's worth $1. It's worth $1 to take a chance. Maybe we'll eat our words on this down the road, dearie. But in redraft leagues, Akil Badu is worth $3. That's it.
I mean, he's going to be sharing time as long as Jacoby Jones is still healthy. Renato Nunez came up to take over for Cabrera because Cabrera's on the DL. Shocker right there. I mean, you got Victor Reyes out there. None of these guys are that exciting for the Tigers. And here's another reason why, I'm not going nuts about getting Akil Badu. The Tigers cannot score right now. So sure, maybe Badu can get some home runs, but how many people are going to be on base? I mean, it's been an absolute mess in this last series and a half. The Tigers just cannot score. Badu's got some speed. He's got some power, a nice left-handed bat, but I don't think he's getting everyday opportunities. So be cautious with the bid you're putting out on Akil Badu.
Well, the thing is, Miggy's hurt. He's got a biceps issue, so he's been benched. That's a bummer. But even if he's healthy, I don't know if he's that great for this lineup. I actually think Miggy was going to have a decent season this year, so maybe that's strong. Maybe that's too extreme. I'll slow my roll on that. But this team always strikes out. They will always strike out. Last year, they were setting crazy strikeout marks. I remember against the Reds last year, there was that series on the road in Cincinnati where they struck out 47 times in 3 games or something like that.
It was
nuts.
I think it was the second series of the year.
It was. It was also against Bauer and Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo.
Yeah.
That's not easy, but still, come on, guys. Good Lord. Cleveland and Minnesota, they're going to feast on this Tigers team all season long. And so will Chicago to boot. So Akil Badu is worth a flyer, but don't put your hopes and dreams on Akil Badu being the difference maker. I don't see that yet. We need to see more. There's too many Rule 5 picks that can get hot and then just poof, whoo, like that. They're gone. And then they're never heard from ever again. Anybody else you're thinking about for FAAB bids this week from a hitting perspective? Do we want to talk about some starters this week? We got 2 start pitchers, streamers for those in redraft leagues and shallower leagues.
Well, I'll mention another guy who's doing pretty good here this last week, and that's Phillip Evans, who took over for Ke'Bryan Hayes. He had a really, really nice week, 3 home runs, several RBIs. He's a guy who in the past has shown that he can walk a little bit, doesn't strike out a ton. He was a minor league player for just forever. Came up and got a short stint with the Mets a couple of years ago. He's here in Pittsburgh, and the Pirates have shown that they've been able to hit the ball pretty well. Colin Moran's off to a nice little start. We've talked about him a couple times on the pod. He's batting in the middle lineup. Colin Moran is available. Maybe go out and put a bid for him. Phillip Evans might be able to give you a little value until Mr. Hayes comes back.
Oh, Mr. Hayes, that's his name?
Well, you may run like Mays, but you hit like shit.
Not Mays. All right, we got a couple more minutes before we wrap up the show here. If you have any last comments or thoughts or questions or concerns about your lineups, pop them in the comments right here. The live stream allows you to do so. Follow us, Palazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah, give me 2.
Our YouTube channel is the best way to contact us in terms of the live stream and catching up on all of our old episodes. If you want to do the podcast version, of course, Apple Podcasts, you give us a 5-star review. That would be most good. Most good. Thank you so much for all the time and energy you guys give us. We never take it ever.
Most excellent. Be most excellent.
Be most excellent to each other. Damn right. Your boy Casey Bynes is a 2-star pitcher this week. Are you excited about that?
What are the matchups?
I'm fucking around. It's against Houston. There's no way in
God,
hell.
I don't like that at all.
It's at Houston. Yeah. No thanks. And Deary ripped on Mize earlier this week because he was being honest about his fear that he's not going to be the best of the bunch in terms of the Tigers' first-round picks, their stud prospect pitchers. And then Tarek
Skubal looked terrible yesterday, so...
Yeah, well, he looked good in his first start. Shit happens.
It's going to take a couple of years for both these guys, I think.
The good news is that we have a lot of 7-game schedules this week in terms of opportunities. I've been so sick of this opening schedule with all the off days. A lot of that's going in the rearview mirror. I think we have 18 teams that'll have 7 games, which is much, much
that's a lot of baseball.
Yeah, that's what we want. Absolutely. Alex says, thanks, guys. How would you rank Rodon, Dunning, Shoemaker, and Miley for FAAB in a 12-team roto. Thank you, Alex, for your support of the show. We love having you here. Alex, I got to tell you, Carlos Rodon, he looked amazing in his first start against Seattle. Dane Dunning, he's looked pretty good as well. I like him. Matt Shoemaker was incredible against the Tigers, and Deary just said, how the Tigers aren't so good. And then Wade Miley. I'm not a fan of Wade Miley. I never am, but, 2-start week might be worth it. What do you think, Deary? All 4 of these pitchers, who do you like?
I like Rodon and Dane Dunning. I really like Dane Dunning. That was a good pickup for the Rangers in the offseason, getting him from the White Sox. He's a young guy, but he throws a power fastball, can strike out a lot of people. Looked really good in 5 innings in his first start. Matt Shoemaker's this guy that, he's been in the league forever, can't stay healthy, kind of has moved around to several different teams. He's a guy that could really come out and have a really nice start like he did against the Tigers, or he can just absolutely get bombed. So he's someone, depending on the matchup, I'm a little weary.
We're going against the Red Sox, dude.
And a little scared. And the Red Sox are mashing the ball right now. Devers hit a home run. We talked about what JD did today. I would probably be sitting Shoemaker. And yeah, like you, I'm not a big Wade Miley fan, but I would put in some bids on Rodon and also Dane Dunning.
Oh, for Monday, yes, that's cool. Dane Dunning has got the Rays, so on the road in Tampa. He's going up against Tyler Glass now. That should be a great pitching matchup. I love that. The Rays are hit or miss right now offensively, so Dane Dunning, I like the matchup there. But I like Carlos Rodon at home against Cleveland a little bit more because Cleveland, even though they put up a double-digit outing against the Tigers over the weekend, I'm not buying that. I do not buy it at all.
No, you're just avoiding 2 or 3 bats in that lineup for the Indians. You're trying to avoid Ramirez. Franmil Reyes is off to a good start with 4 home runs. All you got to do is just spike the ball in the dirt, and Franmil will swing at it and miss. Anything over the plate, he's going to murder. But I think that's probably a pretty good matchup for Rodon.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how he performs in this start here. I was really, really excited about his effort in Seattle. Wade Miley is going to be in San Francisco tomorrow night. Not a place that is terrible to pitch at, especially on the road and in the evening. That's probably why people are targeting it.
Be chilly there.
Yeah, it could be chilly, but we have to check the weather report. He's going up against Aaron Sanchez. The Giants can hit a little bit, but they've been pretty crappy recently offensively overall. So maybe that's why Wade Miley. But for me, Wade Miley's the 4th of those pitchers. I would go Rodon. Actually, I would go Dunning, Rodon, Shoemaker, and then Miley in that order. Robbie Ray's going to be back, Deary, too. He's supposed to be back and make his debut tomorrow for the Blue Jays against the Yankees in Dunedin, Florida.
Over under on walks tomorrow for Robbie Ray.
Oh, okay. I think the over under has to be at 3. That gives us a good number. What would you take, over under 3?
I mean, he's probably only going to go maybe 3 or 4 innings. I would expect, though.
I don't know. He's a veteran. I mean, if he's ready to go, he's ready to go.
If he pitches more than 3 innings, I would say he walks 5 guys.
I'm gonna take the under. I think he's ready to rock. He's excited. He's really upset because he fell down the stairs with his child, which was a bullshit story about how he got hurt in the first place. Not buying that, Robbie. You cannot fool the people on this podcast. You may get it by everybody else with your bullshit, but you're not getting us. Not this time.
The Yankees have been pretty inconsistent offensively too. They're having a really hard time knocking in runs when guys are on base. I've seen it in the last 2 or 3 games. They've had the bases loaded 3 or 4 times and can't get anything going.
Well, Urshela was amazing today. He had a great game. But yes, you're right. There's been a lot of problems offensively for the Yankees. All right, as we close the show, let's close this door. Close the show store. The show store is closing up for the day. This is our FAAB streaming upcoming weekly lineup show. We'll do it every Sunday evening around 6:30, 6:45. We'll be here for you. We're here to support you. We're so glad you guys asked us questions. We gave you our feedback. Now the rest is up to you to make those bids, lock them in, and give them hell out there. I am very excited for a full week of baseball. I'm going to be working more on my bids, tinkering and finalizing everything before they go final tonight on NFBC. And then 11:30 Eastern time on Fantrax is when those bids go through, depending on your league. But that's how it works in mine. So I'm excited. This is going to be a good week, dear. Are you excited for this week?
I am excited to bounce back in those leagues that I had a difficult time in my head-to-head. TGFBI, I had a terrible week and a half. I'm in 14th place in my league. Not good. The Palazzo Podcast, I'm also in the bottom third. Not doing good in the Palazzo Podcast. But the Raz Slam, my hitting has just been unbelievable. I've been able to I'm second in my league in Res Slam, top 15 overall, and it's been because of my hitting, not because of my pitching. I haven't really gotten much from my pitching. My pitching is actually third worst within my home league there, but my hitting has just been bombing the ball. So hopefully Res Slam can continue to be consistent. But man, TGFBI and Plaza Podcast, I hope I can start turning it around here.
Oh, that is a damn shame, dearie. I'm so sorry to hear that. Here's a quick update on the Plaza Podcast overall standing. Shout out to Mark Kiefer, first place overall as of today, just ahead of Richard Sands in second place, another guy we love. And that'll round out with Marshall Witzberger, Richard Zeitor, my guy, and Andrew Poplin, who was in first place when we did the show on Wednesday. He's now down to fifth. So he slipped a bit. Sorry, Andrew. It's a tough break. And the overall score is 469.5 points. That's the leader in the clubhouse. And in terms of me and Deary, I am in 28th place with 298 points. And as Deary said, he's down at 52nd with 220 points.
Not a good start.
Well, I told you at the beginning of the show, though, I'd rather be,
start off slow. Slow, right?
I'd rather be starting off terribly slow. Thanks, Brian Rodgman, for watching the show and engaging with us. Thank you for everybody for listening. Once again, Palazzo Podcast at protonmail.com. If you have email suggestions, segments for the show, let us know. Palazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah, give me 2.
He's C. Deary 1999. That's Deary like Dear John, not Deer with the headlights. I'm at MJ Govier, GOVs, and Victor IER. That's it for the Sunday edition of the Palazzo Podcast. We'll catch you guys on Wednesday evening. Ta-ta!
See ya.